Hey folks, Jordan with TYT Politics, back for you. For the last 6 months, all I have heard is I am an agent of the Kremlin. Anybody that offers skepticism, asks for evidence that Russia is behind every evil in the United States, I've been told you are working for the Kremlin, you are a Russian agent. We've had rampant speculation and propaganda on cable news, in print media, in digital media, that Donald Trump is in collusion with Russia. As I've always said, it's possible that Russia affected the U.S. election. Very, very possible, probably likely, that Trump has business dealings with Russia that he's trying to cover up. But I basically said I've learned my lessons from the Iraq War, and unless I see some smoking gun evidence that the intelligence is correct, not that 17 intelligence agencies say that Russia influenced the election. Well, a lot of those agencies are like the U.S. Coast Guard and agencies that would have no expertise or knowledge on that. So, all we've gotten among corporate Democrats trying to deflect from Hillary Clinton's loss is that Trump is working with Vladimir Putin. Trump and his campaign somehow had this unholier than now plot to overthrow the United States electoral system, and by default, his election doesn't matter, and boogie, boogie, boogie. Well, Donald Trump and the Trump administration today accused Russia of helping to cover up the chemical weapons attack in Syria last week. The White House on Tuesday accused Russia of helping to cover up the chemical weapons attack in Syria last week, which was determined by U.S. intelligence and foreign governments to be a sarin gas attack carried out by Bashar al-Assad regime. A declassified report released on Tuesday says Russia and Syria have pushed, quote, false narratives about the attack, which caused President Donald Trump to authorize airstrikes against a Syrian airbase. White House officials declined to comment on whether Russia knew of the chemical attacks in advance, but said the Kremlin was engaging in a cover-up. The new report comes as Secretary of State Rex Tillerson arrives in Moscow, where he will not meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin. So, I want to make something extremely clear. This report is not me cheerleading or defending for the Trump administration, who I think is fairly god-awful in most things. And I just did a video about an hour ago about the fact that Ivanka Trump apparently swayed President Trump to fire 59 Tomahawk missiles in Syria last week, and how scary that is. So go check that out. But let's call a spade a spade. Do you think somebody who is a puppet for Russia, do you think somebody who's a puppet for Vladimir Putin would basically be suggesting that they somehow were involved with or covering up a sarin gas attack in Syria? Give me a break. Now, am I saying Trump is fierce against Russia and he's, a super duper, call in the military guy against Russia or anybody else? No, I'm not. But if Vladimir Putin or Russia had something very, very significant over Donald Trump, whether it was financial or otherwise, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't, and his administration would not be asserting that Russia is covering up Syria's role in the chemical weapons attack, or even suggesting that somehow they played a part. If somebody has something over me, if somebody has embarrassing information or financial information or something that could damage me, I'm not going to poke at them. I mean, it depends what it is, obviously. But this does not come off as a president who is necessarily that scared of Russia, necessarily that in bed with Russia, or anything like that. So, of course, corporate media, all over it, right? CNN, MSNBC, have the pundit panels on, saying, oh, you know what, maybe we were wrong all these months. Maybe he's not a puppet. Maybe he and Vlad didn't work together to defeat Hillary Clinton. Maybe Russia wasn't WikiLeaks and Julian Assange's source for their John Podesta leaks, which Julian Assange has been denying for months. Maybe we just rushed to judgment. That's all over right now on CNN, on MSNBC, the New York Times, of course. Or not. Right now they're covering that the White House press secretary said that Adolf Hitler did not use chemical weapons, which is an absurd comment to make. They're wall-to-wall with that right now. But you're not going to see any corporate media reflection on Trump. I mean, when does it end? When does the madness stop? They've been going without firm evidence or a smoking gun for months. All we saw was the Russian fear-mongering, which people like me, people like Michael Tracy, people like Kyle Kalinowski, people like Glenn Greenewald, Jimmy Dore, the list goes on, have been saying, you don't provoke and start antagonistic relationships with a nuclear power. Where is our incontrovertible evidence? Not unnamed CIA officials telling you things, which is apparently how we start all wars in the United States. We just get unnamed CIA officials to say this is what happened. So, again, I'm not saying that the Trump administration is necessarily, the strongest fierce warrior against Bashar al-Assad or Vladimir Putin. But he did just bomb Syria, which I think is a mistake, and I've reported on. And now he's saying that Russia might be involved in a cover-up. So I cannot wait. Brooke Baldwin on CNN reporting now, White House accuses Russia of cover-up in gas attack. Well, doesn't that kind of not align with the narrative you guys have been pushing for the last 6 or 7 months? To the point where we've ignored everything else going on in the United States of America. Half the country is poor or starving. Income inequality at an all-time high. Staggering income inequality. Police brutality like we've never seen before. African Americans being murdered. Oil pipelines going all over the country, being rammed through by this president. Wall Street still getting away with murder. Russia! Russia! That's what we've had to cover. Another lead poisoning situation in East Chicago, Indiana. The first lead poisoning situation that made big national news. Still a disaster. But the media, the New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, this is all that they've covered.
When am I going to get my dollar?
And now, I don't hear any introspection. Anybody saying, maybe we rushed to judgment. Maybe Trump's not a puppet. Again, it doesn't mean Trump is right, because I don't think he's right in what he did with Syria. And I don't necessarily think it's right buddying up to Russia either. But we have to call them out when they are full of it. Because this is ridiculous. They went with this narrative for months and months and months and months and months. And now the president is taking action that directly contradicts that narrative, which would tell me, this isn't somebody being bribed or extorted, because that would be pretty ballsy of him if they have something very damning on Trump to accuse Russia of covering up a sarin gas attack. Thank you for watching. Follow me on Twitter, at Jordan Chariton. And of course, youtube.com/GYTPolitics. I will continue reporting as we get more details. But right now, the Trump administration has accused Russia of covering up for Syria. And the Trump administration, they're not telling us what the evidence is, but they're saying there is strong evidence that Syrian President Bashar al-Assad released chemical gas, sarin gas, on his people. Again, they're not providing the evidence for such. So this continues the theme in America of basically pushing the narrative of evil dictators doing evil things, but not really providing evidence of anything. So, thank you for watching.